Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts. Since this week was supposed to be an answering questions episode, I didn't get any questions that were emailed to me or sent, so we'll actually just do an extra episode. And somebody suggested to actually do uh, pack hunting theropods, and so that'll actually be what the topic we'll be talking about today. Now let's actually go through how the pack hunting theory in theropods actually came to be. Well, everybody actually thinks that Phil Curry is actually the one who actually kind of started this whole um, pack hunting theory. Well, actually, it was actually John Ostrom, Dr. John Ostrom. He actually discovered a pack of Deinonychus surrounding a Tenontosaurus. And so this was actually the first case of pack hunting in theropods. And that was actually really good evidence that like smaller theropod dinosaurs probably did actually hunt in packs. Like the raptor dinosaurs were otherwise known as dromaeosaurs. And the dromaeosaur pack hunting theory was very well accepted, and actually probably thought that that was actually the right way to actually kind of see how these animals would actually behave. Large theropods was actually a very hard one uh, to actually accept into the paleontology community, because they thought that all large theropod dinosaurs were actually like lone hunters. But even though today most predators today are actually lone hunters, but once you actually kind of see like if like say the predator is outnumbered by the prey that it's actually trying to go after, then it can't actually go after that particular prey because it's living in a large group. And the only way to actually break apart that group is if you actually communicated and also hunted with a group. And so that actually was actually the way of how large predators today are actually taking down prey items that live in large herds. Lions will actually tackle wildebeest and Cape buffalo because those animals live in herds. Because they need to break up the herd as much as possible. They need to break up the individual that they're going after. And the hyenas, they actually go after Cape buffalo and wildebeest and even antelope. Those animals actually hunt in packs. Wolves hunt in packs. I mean, you name it. I mean, there's a lot of animals out there that actually hunt in groups. But it wasn't until Phil Curry actually kind of thought about the pack hunting theory a little bit more seriously. It was around the 90s is when he actually started to think this through. And he actually did accept the idea of that maybe large theropods did actually live and hunted in groups, because they needed to actually break up the herds of animals that they were actually going after. And and so he actually tried to find evidence of a pack of large theropod dinosaurs. And so he looked everywhere until he actually found some photographs that were taken in the 1910s by Barnum Brown in the Dinosaur Provincial Park in Alberta, Canada. And there was one photograph of where Barnum Brown's assistant was actually digging up some bones, and there was a ridge where you can see trees were actually on top of them. And so he actually started searching for this ridge in Dinosaur Provincial Park. And it took a while to actually find it, because he actually found it in the hottest day of the year in Alberta. And so he actually found it with a bit of luck and determination, because he actually was kind of at the point of heat exhaustion, and so that was actually kind of pretty interesting to actually find out about that. And then they started digging, and they actually found 12 individuals of Albertosaurus jumbled together. And so he actually wrote a paper about it. It was about this bone bed, and that was actually showing that these animals did live in groups. But a lot of the paleontology community was not convinced. They actually thought like, oh, they were probably washed up by some flood. So you probably got multiple animals that actually were jumbled up together. but he actually disproved that theory. Was that how on earth do you actually find 12 individuals of Tyrannosaurs in a certain area at that particular time that actually got washed up all together? And then other scientists thought like, well, they were probably caught in a predator trap, so they were probably stuck in like quicksand, and then they just fell down there. But he disproved that theory is that the only reason that a predator trap would actually be a possibility is if there were other dinosaurs that were actually in this bone bed, and so they never found other dinosaurs in that bone bed, and so that actually shows that it was only one species, ages from 2 years old to 25-year-olds. So these were from babies to adults, and so these were actually a group, a family group, and so that actually would prove the theory of that pack hunting and large theropod dinosaurs did actually happen. But a lot of the paleontology community was said, well, that still could be a fluke. We need another site in order to actually accept the idea of that large theropod dinosaurs did actually hunt in groups. And so Phil Curry got a call to Argentina to actually dig up a specimens of some theropod dinosaurs. And so he actually got called there, and he went down there, and they actually thought that they found Giganotosaurus, but what they actually found was Mapusaurus, and so they actually found 4 individuals jumbled up together, and so that actually would prove the idea that large theropod dinosaurs did in fact hunt in packs from time to time, but they were mainly family packs. And there was other sites of large theropod dinosaurs that actually showed that they may have possibility of pack hunting behavior. Like there's a site in Wyoming or Montana where 3 Daspletosaurus were actually found together, and it was a baby to adults, and also there is a couple Tyrannosaurus Rex sites that actually show multiple individuals. You have the Sioux Quarry, where is that 4 individuals were actually found, including Sioux. And also in Montana, another Tyrannosaurus Rex site shows that there were at least, I think, 6 or 7 individuals in that site, but it wasn't really published that much, so it's actually very hard to actually kind of get this that site to be actually put out on paper to actually say like, okay, yes, these were actually multiple individuals from all various sizes and ages. And so that kind of thing. And also, Allosaurus was probably a pack hunter because you have multiple individuals that were actually found in like the Cleveland Lloyd Quarry, Dinosaur Provincial Park, and Dinosaur National Monument. Those types of places. Because you could say that Allosaurus did live in packs. But also, it's a controversial theory, is because you see, a lot of scientists think that dinosaurs are not really animals that actually had really well-equipped brains to actually do this kind of thing. Because pack hunting involves intelligence and also able to actually communicate with others. But even though the size of the brain doesn't really matter that much if you're actually a predator. Because you see, Dr. Larry Whitmer has said it best. You don't need a whole lot of brain power to be a good predator, because you see, if you are willing to actually work with other members of the pack, and you still go after the prey that you're actually trying to take down, and you actually catch like maybe 1 or 2 individuals of a herbivorous dinosaur, and you got yourself a couple individuals feeding on the carcass, Whereas if you catch 1, then it might be a feeding frenzy for like who gets the best parts. The adults would actually get like the better parts, whereas the juveniles would actually get like say like the legs and the tail and various parts of the neck muscles, all that sorts of stuff. And so, I mean, I do accept the pack hunting theory. I think it's actually well equipped to actually say like that pack hunting actually has been around for millions and millions of years, And a lot of people say, oh, mammals are the only ones that do pack hunting. That's not true. You see, you actually have birds of prey will actually team together to actually take down like multiple individuals of birds. Like eagles. Eagles will actually hunt together. They wouldn't hunt in large groups. They would actually be hunting in pairs. And so they would actually be taking down animals that pretty much the bird species that would actually be able to fly and also that are small enough for them to actually capture them. But most pack hunting actually comes, most of the pack hunting is for taking down animals that are actually the same size, weight, or even a little bit smaller, even larger, but mostly to small, because you see that's what a lot of pack hunting predators actually do. But with lions, they actually take down prey bigger than themselves. So that actually kind of shows the idea that pack hunting could actually work against animals that actually have large size to actually deter predators. But once you actually have multiple individual predators actually trying to take you down, then your weaknesses are exposed, and so that actually is a good way to actually take them down. It's like with Giganotosaurus and Mapusaurus, they were taking down prey that were larger than it. Because if it was trying to take down Iguanodontid, then they would actually all the members of the pack would have actually have gotten at least one iguanodon to actually feast for themselves. But that would never happen that much. But pack hunting is actually a behavioral trait, and so I think mammals got that kind of predatory mammals got this kind of trait probably millions of years ago, where they were really tiny animals that were actually looking at certain large animals that were actually bigger than it, and that means that dinosaurs were one of the first animals to actually do this. Probably some mammal-like reptiles in the Permian probably actually did this as well, and so that would actually be pretty interesting to actually think maybe you have a group of Gorgonopsians taking down something that was actually a little bit larger than them, and so that would actually be pretty cool to see. But I think it's really cool that you actually see that pack hunting is actually becoming a debatable topic in paleontology. But I accept the theory. I think it's actually very viable. I think you see predators doing this today. See eagles doing this today. Some birds of prey actually do it today. And since that birds are actually the descendant of dinosaurs, and they are theropods, so that actually would show that these animals would actually indicate that all sorts of theropods, mainly meat-eating dinosaurs, did hunt in packs. And I do believe that the pack hunting theory is still viable. I think it's just that males in a pack would actually probably left the pack to actually form their own pack, and would have actually hunted on their own a little bit more, because once you actually are trying to compete for females, then the father of that family would actually get that male out of the pack, because he knows he could be competition, and so that would actually be an interesting way. But even though probably certain members of the pack did leave as to avoid inbreeding, it's because you don't want you don't need to have closely related members to actually be mating with each other, because otherwise you're going to have all sorts of problems with that. But anyway, I do accept the theory of pack hunting. Like I said, I think I do like the work of Dr. Phil Curry, of what he's doing with this theory. I think it's actually kind of showing that it's got some viability to it, and also paleontologists have started to open their minds about this, and they actually would start agreeing with it. Alright, that's it for now. Now next week will actually be the Answering Questions episode. So if you got a question about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life, feel free to email me at dinocris71@gmail.com, or just go on the Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions in the comment section on any Facebook post, or even on the wall of the Facebook page. But remember, keep your questions short to the point. You can also follow me on Twitter at CSJIL. That's my Twitter page. I post pretty cool stuff on there. Also, take care of the people around you. And also, for you younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. Those are the best motivation you can have for a good education. It's very important to have a good education. So with a good education, you get a good job in the future. All right, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week.